Good evening guys, James here from Sunseeker Southampton. The sun is setting down here on a very crisp evening from a long day filming at Sunseeker Poole. We're at the shipyards today where we're checking out a few new boats. This was destined to go to the Düsseldorf boat show earlier this month in January, but unfortunately with the show not running, I'm going to bring you to her today, which is an online tour of boat 409, which is a brand new Sunseeker 65 Sport Yacht. She's behind me in the water here. I've just turned all the lights on so you can check her out here as the sun goes down. Slightly different to the sunny days when we have a look around in broad daylight. Obviously boats look fantastic also at night with a very clever use of LED lighting, and you can see there those beautiful Lumishore LED underwater lights there. So we've got 4 across the transom, 2 on the sides. They are actually, it's just the camera lens playing up there with the frame rate. They're not flashing, although they do have all manner of different settings to allow you to do that if you wish. This is a really cool boat, I have to say. Loaded up. This was say as a show boat. She's that lovely rail white gel coat with the black roof up top there. So boats are available with a silver roof, the black, or a number of other different options depending on client spec. This particular boat spec also with the nav kit painted up top there as well. So very moody on the water. That roof line really blends in when you stand back. Hard to show you from an angle here, but almost feels very Predator-esque. Not lose the hard top and that outside driving position when you stand back and see the boat in profile. Powered by Volvo's IPS 1350s, which are a pair of 1,000 horsepower Volvos on IPS. So very manoeuvrable. This boat is so exciting to drive. We'll be doing a sea trial tour on the boat in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, let's go round and check her out in a little bit more detail. So here we are around on the pontoon next to the boat. You'll notice some lovely LED lighting underneath these synthetic teak steps. Obviously we covered one of these back at Southampton Boat Show last year. It's a chance to see a slightly different perspective today. We've got things like the illuminated name in the back there for Sport Yacht. It's also up on the side panels. We'll see when we go up into the cockpit. Lots of little features you don't see when the boat's all dressed up nicely in the bright sunshine. Obviously lots of owners spending extended time on board. It's a great chance to see what the boat looks like if you imagine yourself walking back to it in a marina after dinner and what have you. So very imposing when you walk up to one of these. See the cleats here. Asked from a practical point of view. Just stood here next to it. I can just about reach the cleats, so getting your spring lines on isn't too much of an issue. Boats obviously going up and up in volume these days, which often makes getting to practical things like that a little bit more tricky. So we've got, as always, sliding high-low hydraulic platform, and in the back here we've got a vast size garage. Let's take a Williams tender in there as well. So we'll just pop that open, you can check that out, see how it all works. It's up on the side here, find the right button, up she comes. So you see we've got a big centerline aft sun pad here, which isn't underneath the aft cockpit coaming here, so you've got sun exposure when you wish, and then tucked up in the aft leading edge of that roof you've actually got a sun awning as well, which comes out to give you some protection when required. So we'll just bring that up and head back here to the platform so you can see how this works. So we've got the launch mechanism here for the Williams tender launch system. You see the winch up in the foredeck there. We've got the drop-in handrails, so once the platform is dropped down you can see sockets here, and there's actually steps down beneath the water to make getting in and out very straightforward. Obviously an option with the flexi-teak through the floor there just to finish off this area, and we've got lighting up top as well as that centerline rain shower in the roof, which is a nice touch. Obviously vast size locker, so plenty of room for things like paddle boards, and we can even do a mesh screen over the back of here so that once the tender's out and what have you, you can just tidy this up, still having the benefit of things like the shower and what have you when you're using the boat. So if we head up into the cockpit, you notice this was the dropout underneath the step there for the passerelle. Coming up onto the starboard side of the boat, so we do have different configurations for the cockpit here. The option here being the U-shaped seating, which is an upgrade over the standard. So as standard you would have an option to walk straight in this side, And then we've got the fill-in cushion here and this corner cushion as well. You would just have a centerline bench, and then this particular one's got a seat here as well, rather than the wet bar arrangement underneath the window backing onto the galley there. So different layouts. We can show you the other options if you're interested in considering this model specifically. Most of them are built with this U-shaped seating thus far, but very much a personal choice depending on how an owner wishes to use it. You'll notice that feature LED lighting rather than the little individual spots that you'll see on a Sunseeker. On most of the other models, we've got this lovely low level, as well as the illuminated badges you see here in the side, detail being everything. Optional side doors to get out onto a quayside if you regularly come in sideways. And then we've got things like the Lumishore controls for the lights, all the exterior lighting out here, tails for the ropes coming off the docking winches as part of the Platinum Med Pack. We've got battery isolator switches on the back here, so everything's nice and easy to get to. Lovely big transom gates. Just bring this round into the closed position. You can see on this side Sunseeker logos on those. You notice how wide these decks are. Absolutely, I'd say it's probably 18 inches wide, these decks. I just stood here, got absolute floor to ceiling glass windows, a massive amount of natural lighting downstairs. We've got an optional opening window here at the lower helm, and then these cut out bulwarks, probably easier to see from the picture I showed earlier when we first started the tour. That just gives a really aggressive profile to the boat. Coming up on the bow here, so we've got a nice private area to escape the bustle going on in the port when you're moored in the Med, with this nice seating area. And you've got the tracks around the back here, so we've got protective cover package for all of this area to save bringing the cushions in all the time. There's a wireless charging point up here, as well as controls for lights. Handy little bins for storing spare warps. We've got lift up backrest cushions for the bow seating arrangement here, and you can see the nice little two-tone upholstery. We've got inlaid shark fin type piping. It's done in a Silvertex fabric, very nicely finished. Single delta galvanized anchor there. A huge anchor locker, so we've got space partitioned for the chain there aft, and then a separate area forward to put fenders. So up in the roof, this is an optional electric opening sunroof, just allows a little bit of ventilation to the lower helm. Just a shot in there through the windscreen. You'll notice this is a one-piece glass, absolutely huge expanse. It's one of the largest glass panels made in a singular piece, no centerline mullion. I'd say this boat looks absolutely fab here on the outside. We've got LED Lupo nav lights up top there. And then coming back into cockpit, so we've got a mixture, as is quite common on Sunseekers these days, with the strips and the little spotlights to create a very soft mood, as well as all the low level lighting around the back here. Same decor with the two-tone upholstery here in the cockpit, and probably hard to see in the light here, but this is an exposed weave carbon fibre table, absolutely beautiful. So the top opens up, slide that across, a bit tricky to do single-handed, but there's a great size. It's on an electric high-low leg here as well, so button here allows you to take that up and down if you're using it as a coffee table in the morning, or somewhere to dine. There's space here to have a couple of director's chairs as well. You'll notice this all opens, so we've got all the doors stacked back currently on the starboard side. With the electric window here, there's a little flip over bar top. This rises, and then you've got 3 panes of glass across here, so opening door to here, and then 2 panes to stack back. So it neatly folds in behind the stairs there when you don't need it, but the advantage being, if you so wish to turn the boat into a completely open area for entertaining, it takes seconds to do so. Just before it gets too dark to get outside, we'll do upstairs next. So we've got the stairs here up to the sky helm. So these actually fold into the ceiling, and I'll cut a picture in here to show how they work. But again, lots of lighting, easy to come up forwards or backwards. And this area really is about driving the boat. It's not somewhere really that you'd sit for entertaining purposes. It's really a practical space for the helm and perhaps a small party to sit and enjoy the boat when you're up and running at speed. So two different layouts, this being the standard one with the centre line sun pad. You've got backrest lift up this way and backrest lift up this way. There's some other tours on my channel to show a little bit more detail of how some of these options work. The other option is to have an L-shaped seating in here, this being currently the more popular option on the boats that we built to date. Option for the pull-out refrigeration door here in the corner. We've got a wireless charging point for phone, and you can see all that painted nav kit up on the arch there. We're running full Garmin glass bridge navigation equipment that talks to the Volvo integrated IPS system very well, and you'll see things like the LED feature lighting around here, lots of little stainless steel details. This is painted, so we've got the black LSA jet black paint around the sunbed as well as up on the tops here. There is an option to bring the paint down over the top and into this area if you wish. And then we come forward really to, I think, one of the most important features if you're considering this boat is the driving position itself. So it's a centre line, as you can see. Helm co-pilot seat is very much focused around the drive of this boat. It really banks in the turns, getting on into the mid 30 knot range with these 1350 engines. If we just sit down in the helm seat, you can really appreciate how much is sat down into these seats. It's a really comfortable driving position. You see it's very sports car-esque. We've got the steering wheel right in front of us. We've got the joystick for close quarters manoeuvring. This also all lifts up to allow you to drive the boat from a standing position when docking. Bow thruster controls well. You can't have a stern thruster for those of you that might want to ask about it, as it doesn't work with the sliding arrangement of the platform on the back, but it isn't needed with the joystick system at all, I promise you. Everything falling nicely to hand here, so we've got the fly-by-wire throttles, we've got our own proprietary control jog dial here which controls the individual information inside these navigation screens, and you can see just with a double tap we can select which one of these screens we wish to go to, and we can actually flick through the different displays. Very clever. And then beneath that we've got a small Garmin repeater for the downstairs screens, which is giving us all of the information, navigation equipment that we might need close by to hand. That's got its own control panel here as well as the touch screen, and then we've got some handy things like the engine control panel, VHF handset here. This is a wireless charger for phone, of course a charging point as well if you've got an iPad or what have you up here as well. So it's a really nice ergonomic helm. Everything's nicely to hand, and you can see obviously co-pilot joining you here up forward is also able to reach the controls alongside you. You can see the embossed logos up on the seats here, which have got this lovely detailed Silvertex stitching with a two-tone you can see there on the edges of the bolster cushions. So when I mentioned earlier about the lift-up helm arrangement, if we stand back here you can see that this is absolutely almost in a horizontal plane, but with the touch of a button here we can lift this up. It's a manual lift system, so it just takes a couple of seconds on the ram that's hidden down underneath there, and it's now brought the joystick up. So if you imagine now from this docking position, I've got control of the wheel and the joystick. Generally most manoeuvring is done with a joystick on an IPS boat, but from here I can look right down over the side of the boat here on the port side, from the stern all the way up to the bow there. Really a nice, very clever feature. First boat that we've introduced it to on the range, and I can see us doing this more on other boats in the future. So let's head back downstairs and let's carry on through the inside of the boat. So I'm just going to put the camera down for a second and show you how the stairs work. These literally lift up into the ceiling. We've got a shock bolt here and up they go. This now gives us a nice big area here to access down into the crew cabin. Just before we go down there, we'll mention we've got the optional third station controls with a joystick and your bow thruster control here, and again the ability to start and stop the engines from here if you require. So crew cabin itself, Access down the ladder here. You've got the basic facilities given. Often at this size it's very much an owner operated boat, so the loo has a lid that drops down over the top, and you can see down there we've got a single bed, sink down the end. There's the option to have the washing machine and what have you underneath the bed here if you wish, or you can do it depending on which layout in the master cabin downstairs. I'll show you the options there as well, but done in a practical finish, so very much a place for storing canopies, bits and pieces as required. So being a boat show boat, obviously very high spec. This particular one with lots of custom colour finishes and what have you. So standard boat starting just over the £2 million mark. She's £2,065,000 ex-tax. And then this boat actually spec'd up is just over £2.6 million as you see it. I say big spec. Lots of options on the AV, the decor, navigation, etc. Finished in the new earth grey wood finish, which is on the cabinetry down here, and then we've got a two-tone, this is a satin spray finish lacquer up on the top level cabinets above. Lovely veining through the worktops here, and Galley obviously being here in the middle of the boat, very easy for dining in and out, for serving, you say, with this little mini bar area here. The standard arrangement, say, with a wet bar here, or you've got the option for some stools on there as well if you wish. So in terms of Galley practicality, we've got cupboards up top here with our obligatory tea set and crockery and what have you. For those that don't need that, obviously we can take it out. We've got the extractor fan above the hob, pan drawer underneath, slimline dishwasher, a bin and some storage in there, and then cupboards opposite for basic provisions. Crockery set, what have you. Refrigeration's opposite, so we've got the various different solutions in here. This particular one, you can see dual refrigerators. We can do a fridge with a freezer, a fridge with an ice maker, lots of different options depending on an owner's preference, and that nice little inlaid stone panel on the top. This is your glasses storage over here, worth mentioning. So much the same as outside, we've got the LED strip lights and the little individual spots up top. Really brings the boat to life, and you can soften all of that off with the dimmable settings when you wish. So we're running a Cadoran hardwood silver oak floor here, makes it very practical to walk up to the lower helm. And we come forward into the dining area. So this doesn't have a table in here currently, there's a base there and we're waiting for the top to come back from the lacquer shop, but there's a nice opening top to go on that. See some lovely greys. It's a very modern interior in here with the colour palette that's been chosen. We're on electric blinds on the windows up top. There's lots of opti smoked mirror here in the panels, just to really give the boat a very masculine, moody feel inside. You can see the detailing here in the helm chairs with the inlaid panels. There's some little logos in the front here as well for the helm and co-pilot. And if we sit down here at the lower helm, you see again, as with all our boats, lots and lots of space. Looking out, it's a panoramic view through all of the windscreen panels, and you can see all the way around. For those of you that do want to bring the boat in from the lower helm when the weather doesn't lend itself to being outside, it's a great place to sit back, and you've got all of the same instrumentation, say 2 large chart plotters down here as opposed to the single one upstairs. So under here you've got space for an iPad mini for controlling the AV system. We've got our CM8 monitoring panel here, which does all of our electrical and bilge systems and what have you. Very common on our boats these days. Bow thruster control, engine start stops. These are inlaid carbon fibre dash panels. And then next to the helm here we've got a jog wheel to control the 2 helm screens, as well as the jog dial for the 2 independent circular displays there like we saw upstairs, and of course our IPS joystick for our docking. It's a nice helm. This is laid out really well. We've got, see the badge staying in the middle there, and it's a tilt wheel so you can get it into a comfy position. There's a wireless charging point underneath. And you see that sunroof above us. For days when you just need a little bit of ventilation into here, perhaps don't want to run the aircon system. Reverse cycle aircon, of course, so it allows you to heat as well as cool, using the boat here in the UK as well as down in the Med. And then we go down to the main living area. Now this particular boat is configured with the 4th cabin option. There are several different layouts down here. We'll have a little look. So you come down, you see you've got these huge mirrored panels everywhere we look. Makes the boat feel very bright and airy. So let's start forward. So this is a VIP guest cabin. Up in the bows, you'll notice there's loads of room in this cabin. The bow being obviously a much bigger volume than Predators of yesteryear. So we've got storage drawer in the end of the bed. Wardrobe here over on the port. Clever little features like the wireless phone charging points on top there. We've got some nice shelves, high level storage lockers either side of the bed. Full AV package on this one, so TVs in all the cabins with speakers up in the roof, and we've got Sonos system as well running through the boat. Over this side we've got a nice little prep area for nights out, and you've got a nice ensuite access without having to leave the cabin. Here over on the port side, soaker shower in the roof there, a storage cupboard below, and also up in the mirrored panels above. You can see the inlaid stainless steel strips here in the wood. We've got nice grain. Try and stand back to show you on the doors. It's nice grain through the wood. So this is a standard configuration cabin in here. So these are 2 fixed single beds. There's a little drawer in the middle. You can see the blind over the window. This is a good sized wardrobe up top there. And behind the door, again an ensuite here with lots of storage. Coming across the hallway, this door leads into the day head. So if you've got guests on the boat, don't need to send them down to one of the cabins that perhaps you've got friends staying on board. And again, we've got storage up top and low level as required. So from this point through to the next bulkhead aft, we've got a number of different configurations in this area. The boat we covered back at Southampton Boat Show actually had the linear sideboard in here, which is the standard arrangement, and then you had the option for refrigeration or laundry facilities and what have you in that. This particular boat's gone with the 4th cabin, which is behind the door here, and then this space can be configured again for a number of different purposes. This particular one's got an additional wine fridge in here. You have the option also for things like the washer dryer in here. This boat's got that down in the crew cabin itself. So if we just come down what's now effectively a corridor, this is the 4th cabin, which gives you an extra single bed here up on the wall. There isn't space to put a second bed in, for those of you that might ask, because this is the hull. There's not a lot of space, you can see down there, right up onto the hull sides itself, and then you've got some storage drawers and what have you. So it's a handy additional space. We can put things like ice makers and what have you in here and still use this as a crew. You've got a wardrobe here. And then we come aft to the master cabin. So this is the conventional layout, the centerline bed there. The option, if you have the Grand Master, I'll cut a picture and show you how this works. You gain an additional sideboard in here with a little pull-out vanity stool, just gives a little bit more space here in the master cabin for those that don't need the 4th bed option. So we've got the table with the 2 tub chairs there. And over on the starboard side, a linear sideboard. We've got storage underneath. Again, AV package and what have you. Then the mastheads itself running thwartships. So big spec boat, this one. She's just over 20, they're 20.5 metres these. We've got 3,500 litres of water, 3,500 litres of fuel, 800 litres of water. So good cruising range of about 250 nautical miles. So last but no means least, let's go and check out the engine space before we finish our tour. So coming back down onto the bathing platform and across the back. One downside, I suppose, to having the seating here, but for me this is still the better layout for most instances. So ladder to climb down. You can see we've got things like the fire flap shutters on the engine intakes here, just little things that we might need to do for coding later on. So we're running an MC16 single gyro here, just forward as we first came down the stairs. And you can see we've got our 17.5 kilowatt Cummins Onan generator there. We've got our power plants for the aircon system, so everything's nice and easy to get to. Engine's obviously very compact on the garage floor here. Beautifully finishing. So the silver is soundproofing on the inside of the garage, just to keep suppression of as much noise as possible. You can see there's access all the way around the engines. The servicing systems, we can get into the middle here, dipsticks are handed to the middle, water intakes there for generator in the middle, and the engines as well, and access through to the pods at the back for servicing and what have you. Very, very nice space, finished as nicely as the rest of the cosmetics up on main deck itself. So that's us done. See, not often we see a boat in the dark like this, so it's great to give you something different to see how she is. A little different to displayed on the boat show stands. We're finishing off there with what I think is a real wow shot. This is often my favourite time to see a boat on the water, with the sun going down, coming back in from a lovely fun day out with the family in a cala somewhere in warm and sunny, getting ready to go out on the town in the evening, boats back into port, washing it down, checking all the toys out and what have you, and generally getting into party mode. So this is often how you'd see the boat in the evening, and I have to say she's a real wow. Hope you've enjoyed the tour with us. As always, if you'd like to know more, it's james@sunseekersouthampton.com, or mobiles +44 7747 686 587. This one is available. She's here in Poole, available to view 7 days a week. If you'd like to know more, please do get in touch.